Welcome back, guys, to the first episode of OCT Plus Market Insights in 2026. As always, in the first part of this video, I will go over the most important crypto charts. We will take a look at market sentiment and the overall macro developments that are going on as of now, before we will then, in the second part of this video, take a closer look at our personal portfolio holdings. And towards the end, I would like to share one very compelling trading idea with you, as well as outline one or two changes that I made to my personal portfolio holdings. All right, so without further ado, let's directly jump in. So first of all, the 4-year cycle is finally over, or dead, as you might say. Yeah, pretty much since the beginning of Bitcoin, we had 3 green years followed up by 1 red year, another 3 green years, 1 red year, 3 green years, 1 red year, and that basically represented the 4-year crypto cycle. And now finally in 2025, this cycle broke, as the 3rd year, which is supposed to be a green one, ended up red. So most mental models are now broken, and a lot of people are in shambles, not exactly knowing how the markets will behave in 2026. But let's take a closer look what's going on as of now. We are still in the fear mode, pretty close to max fear. We bounced a little higher after spending the majority of the last few weeks in the max fear zone. While stocks are slightly more optimistic, they're currently in the neutral zone. And if you look here, I zoomed out a little bit since October 2025. I mean, we never bounced higher than 50. So over the last 4 to 5 months, we've been trading in the fear zone, and most of this time, we spent in the max or in the extreme fear zone, which is everything below 25. So prices are not ideal, and equally bad is sentiment. But sooner or later, I expect us to bounce higher and eventually break through the 50 level. But it would be cool if we now just bounce between 25 and 50 for a few more weeks before we then can finally break out higher. Bitcoin dominance, after this 3-year upwards trend, now we are here basically trading sidewards for a few more for the last few months. We never really broke below the 58 level, and neither did we go higher than 60%. So as long as there is uncertainty, I think we will trade in this range. But definitely the period where Bitcoin dominance is up only, I guess, is over. Total 3, here we see we still haven't broken through the old all-time highs of 2021. We're still trading within this range here, where the lower bound is somewhere between 800 billion and 750 billion. And here the upper bound, let's say, is 115 trillion. If we can finally break through this level, then I think we can, or we should see another altcoin season, but I don't think this will happen anytime soon. It's important to hold this lower resistance level, and then we might just trade here a little longer. And once we break out here, it might get more bullish soon. And altcoin season index. Despite the max fear, we are not really seeing a Bitcoin season. I mean, the last time we have been in a Bitcoin season is more than half a year ago. Hence, I say that we will no longer see a pure outperformance of Bitcoin. Some selective altcoins will definitely do well. And here we see this spike, especially towards the beginning of this year, as we saw a 3-4 day bullish sentiment. Altcoins immediately began to outperform Bitcoin. And now we're just back here in this neutral zone where most altcoins lose against Bitcoin, but these strong altcoins still outperform Bitcoin. Funding rates. Funding rates have turned slightly more positive than they've been in the past. Here you see a lot of blue dots, which indicate negative funding rates, especially for the majors, Bitcoin and ETH. Hype, they all have positive funding rates, which is interesting. Solana has a slightly negative funding rate, and most other altcoins, they have their funding rates are between +1 and -10%. So still the majority of altcoins are heavily shorted than longed. So their sentiment is still not bullish. And here, the same picture in the App Store. Within the top 10 finance app, there are no crypto apps. I mean, 𝗪𝗁 is somewhat a crypto app, but there people use it for sports gambling. And the applications that we want to see trending, like Robinhood or Coinbase, they are ranked 14 and 30. And other crypto degen apps like Moonshots or Phantom, they are yeah, out of the 500, but that's here in the overall app count. Bitcoin ETF flows. We kicked off the last week with pretty strong inflows, especially for Bitcoin, but then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we saw negative outflows for, yeah, basically all the coins. Just Solana had little inflows, but they are not really noteworthy. And yeah, in the end, we had almost 700 million of outflows for Bitcoin, 70 million for ETH, and 40 million inflows for Solana. I mean, these Solana flows, they are still super, super tiny, but nonetheless, they had positive inflows in 4 out of the 5 days, and on Friday, there were 0 flows. So yeah, Solana is definitely looking slightly stronger than Bitcoin and ETH. And here on the DATs, here we see the trading volume. Of course, over the holidays, Christmas, New Year's Eve, trading volume went down, but now with last week that everybody is back at work, yeah, we saw a, I would say, average trading week. So the interest is like not super big, but still there is some decent trading volume. And here, one of the most important charts when it comes to DATs, we see that the Solana DATs, they are basically not buying since September. The same for Bitcoin, except that Saylor was able to pump like a few billions a few days back, but other than that, he really has a hard time to raise money, while the Ethereum DATs, especially Bitmine with Tom Lee, they are just pumping, yeah, fresh millions into the market to buy up some new ETH every single week. And yeah, as of now, the Ethereum DATs, they hold more ETH in percentage-wise than Bitcoin or Solana DATs do. And here a short look at the MNAVs. MicroStrategy is still, yeah, below the 1 threshold of MNAVs at 0.8, while, yeah, Bitmine managed to get back up into a slight premium. But yeah, the general valuations have come down, and now most DATs are trading at a discount, while Bitmine is the only one that, for now at least, is able to maintain a slight premium. Cool. Now let's take a look at some DeFi metrics. Here, TVL is down a bit week over week since we had this rally at the beginning of January, and last week we saw a retrace. So we are down 3.1% week over week. But on the other side, the DEX volumes yeah, began to accelerate again. Like here last week, we saw the highest weekly trading activities over the last 2 months. We are up 13%, and like those two bars, again, over the holidays, it was a little bit more silent. And now I guess we can start to accelerate again. We have a very similar picture here in the perps trading volumes. Last week, again, we're up 25%. And yeah, finally, the holidays are over, and now we can, yeah, take a look at these charts again. Now they have way more telling power since, yeah, everybody is active again, and I think we, yeah, might bounce higher in the weeks to come. And finally, stable coins, they are still close to all-time highs. Here we had a double top, and yeah, week over week, there was not much of a change. We're still trading, yeah, around the all-time highs, and I think this chart will continue to grow and go higher. Towards the end, I think we will be higher than 500 billion. Cool. Now let's take a look at our portfolio holdings. So I made a few minor changes. I set a buy limit for Zcash at $380, which got filled last week after all the FUD break free. And yeah, we saw a, guess, 20-25% correction. So I thought that's a good time to add a little bit more ZAC to my portfolio. Other than that, here in the core, like I didn't make any adjustments to my core positions. Still the same ones, ZAC the majority, then Solana recover a bit as they were, yeah, down heavily over the past few weeks. And here in the satellite part, yeah, you see that 𝗬𝗁𝗂 was like, is now up more than 50% since, yeah, I started to accumulate it. And here I made a dot for TIA. I am pondering to unstake my TIA since I, yeah, think ownership coins, they just have a better narrative going forward, and I really struggle. I mean, I don't think that TIA will do badly, especially now that we might have seen a bottom. But yeah, the narrative around meta and ownership coins are simply stronger, and I just prefer holding ownership coins over governance tokens, meme coins, whatever. And yeah, for the 𝗬𝗪 or 𝗪𝗪 thesis to play out, I think it takes a little bit more time than I initially expected. And in the meantime, I think, yeah, there are better opportunities. And here, another thing that I did, I finally unstaked all of my, let's say, airdrop farming wallets. I had several wallets with some atom, 𝗬𝗪, and osmosis lying around, and I unstaked them over the holidays. And yeah, yesterday they finally all unstaked, and I just I sold them all and bought some more meta with it. Cool. Now let's take a closer look at Zcash. Here we see the shielded pool. It didn't budge despite the FUD. I mean, we are up 0.3%. 15k more ZEC have been shielded week over week, and yeah, roughly 30% of the entire supply is shielded. As of now, here we saw this uptick 2 or 3 weeks ago, and then more or less the same amount was unshielded 2 weeks later. There are some rumors that some centralized exchanges just tried out the shielding mechanism so that they might introduce it for their customers or enable it for their customers going forward, or it was just a whale playing around with it. We don't know. But yeah, in the end, it was a zero-sum game. We are more or less at the same levels, just slightly higher. Then, yeah, big news for Zcash or Switzerland is that, as you all have seen, as Trump and the US government captured the Venezuelan president Maduro. Just a few days later, we saw the Swiss federal government announcing that with immediate effect, Switzerland is freezing any Swiss-based assets linked to Nicolas Maduro. And yeah, I mean, until now, Switzerland was the safe haven for people around the world. They were considered neutral, and you could just keep your assets there. But now that Switzerland is becoming or choosing a political side, I think, yeah, more and more people are waking up to this reality and deem Switzerland no longer safe and definitely no longer neutral. So yeah, Switzerland as this place where you can store your wealth is no longer safe, and yeah, hence long live Zcash, as it offers the same properties as Switzerland once did, just now it's permissionless and available to everyone around the world. Just buy some Zcash, put it on 𝗪𝗪, shield it there, and yeah, nobody can trace you anymore, and your funds are safe there and totally shielded from the outside world.
Second contrarian take is that I think the central banks will realize that there are limitations to gold and limitations to Bitcoin, and will, as a result, seek out a completely new cryptographic paradigm that they can control on their balance sheet, that is fungible, that is tradable, and that is completely secure and private. And I think the reason why that privacy needs to exist is that for the sovereignty of a country, you need to be in a position where you have assets that are not easily disclosed to anybody else, friends or enemies alike. And then separately, cryptographically, if you're going to own a currency, you need to hedge against the eventual risk in the next 5 to 10 years that there's a quantum chip that can challenge the existing cryptographic schemes that are used.
𝗪𝗪𝗿𝗪 from the All In podcast, he did it again, soft shilling Zcash. I mean, if you just listen to his words and you know a little bit about Zcash, it's, I mean, 99.9% sure that he is talking about Zcash, and I fully agree. Sooner or later, not only individuals, but also central banks will realize that there are limitations to gold and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is not fungible. There are tainted Bitcoins. It is way too slow, and most of all, it is transparent and not quantum resistant. And yeah, Zcash just offers a beautiful alternative to it. And I mean, we already have 𝗪𝗪𝗿, many other KOLs talking about Zcash, and now one of the most famous investors out there. He has massive reach with All In, and for the third time, I already hear him soft shilling Zcash. I think he's still in the accumulation phase, and yeah, sooner or later he will name it, I guess, not just soft chill. But yeah, it's beautiful to see high bigger individuals talk about Zcash publicly. And yeah, just shortly addressing the Zcash FUD, we had 𝗪𝗲𝗿 that kicked it off. He is the CEO of 𝗬𝗫cy Wallet, a company that, yeah, was part of 𝗬𝗫cy, Electric Coin Company. It is like Zcash foundation-based company that operated 𝗬𝗫cy. And then there was some dispute between Josh and the foundation members, 𝗬𝗫cy, Christina, Ellen, and Michelle. And yeah, this led the entire ECC team to leave after being constructively discharged by the board members of ECC. In short, the terms of our employment were changed in ways that made it impossible for us to perform our duties efficiently and with integrity. Hence, we are founding a new company, but we're still the same team with the same mission, building unstoppable private money. So the Zcash protocol has been unaffected by this, but of course, Twitter went crazy over this information or this event going viral, and that's why I bought a little bit more Zcash, because I think, yeah, fundamentally nothing changed now. As we see here, actually it's bullish. I'm not sure if it's extremely bullish. Long term for sure. Short term, yeah, it caused a lot of FUD. But now Zcash's most competent team is now unburdened by the crippling inefficiencies of the foundation policies. And yeah, that's what 𝗪𝗏 had to say. And then 𝗪𝗏, the lead of the Tachyon protocol, says he is totally supportive of Josh's decision to get to spin out of ECC and form their own startup to just ship and iterate faster, bring better products to their users. And I know that Josh and the team are going to crush it. And yeah, here 𝗪𝗫 had a very nice TLDR of the entire Zcash drama. So he said, one, the board members, 𝗬𝗫cy and all these guys, they avoid getting sued under the US non-profit law because, of course, it's their duty to protect the foundations and the rules. And as those devs want to get out or turn the non-profit into a profit or into a startup, then, of course, they have to raise their voices and protect themselves. Otherwise, US courts could go after them. And the devs, of course, they want to go private so that they can ship faster and better stuff. And yeah, just have better incentives, because, you know, working for a nonprofit has its limitations, of course. And yeah, he's just a simple man, but this seems like a win for Zcash, and I totally agree. Short term, it might take a few weeks for this entire negotiation and FUD to settle, but mid to long term, it's definitely super bullish. And then just one day later, Josh 𝗪𝗏 posted or tweeted again that they're launching a new Zcash wallet, and you can sign up here to get early access. And I mean, one more time, nothing has changed on their roadmap. We are all in on Zcash. We need to scale Zcash to billions of users. Startups can scale, but nonprofits can't. Hence why Josh and his team decided to leave ECC. And yeah, that's why we created a new Zcash startup. So I guess, yeah, soon they will accelerate and we will receive better Zcash products from their side. Cool. Solana. Here we have the weekly DEX volumes on Solana. We are slightly up week over week, but here, yeah, there's still some overhang left. But nonetheless, Solana is definitely the fastest running horse of all the layer 1 chains out there. Here, a metric that I very much like is app revenue by chain. And yeah, Solana is just outpacing everyone else here, especially if you look at 7-day or 30-day app revenue. They are 3-4x, yeah, higher than anybody else. And in the end, if you're building a layer 1 ecosystem, you want apps to build on your chain, and you want those apps to be profitable. Otherwise, what's the point of building the infrastructure in the first place? Here, Solana REV, this chart is looking much better than the one we looked before. Here, basically, we are at, yeah, almost a monthly highs that we saw back in October for REV. We see that priority fees here, the green area is picking up. Again, this means that more on-chain activity is coming back, and people are eager to pay for priority fees, as well as Jito tips are increasing too. And here again, the total application revenue on Solana, and last week applications made 300 million in revenue on top of Solana, with PumpFun being the cash cow number 1. Here, some more charts. Transaction activity, we saw another spike, and here we are back at the levels we saw in September last. So that's good. More trading activity happening on Solana. Here, stablecoins are down a little bit, but yeah, nothing to be super worried about. Here we saw a spike and then it dropped again. As long as we can maintain these levels and generally maintain this upwards trend, everything should be fine. And here another positive looking chart, the launchpad revenues on Solana. Here we had the lows a few weeks ago, and since then we're going higher. PumpFun has remained pretty solid, and over the last 2 weeks we saw some more activity coming from 𝗪𝗵𝗁.fun too. All right, let's move on to Hyperliquid. Here, Hyperliquid, similar, to pretty bad weeks over the holidays, but now we are back at previous levels. Perps volume 30 billion, up 35% week over week. What's a little bit more concerning for me is the DEX volumes on Hyperliquid. They are just down only over the past few weeks, but I mean, the general hypothesis to invest in Hyperliquid is that their perps lead, or like they will generate most of their profits from their perps exchange, and they just have the killer product there. So yeah, it's still looking not too bad. Also, TVL is slightly up and open interest too. And I mean, they generated 30 million of revenue last week, by far the most profitable crypto business out there. And yeah, one more thing that I will take a closer or keep an eye on going forward. That's here are WAs traded on Hyperliquid, like Tesla, the Nasdaq, so on and so forth. We saw a pretty strong start, especially for the Nasdaq with over 100 million daily trading volume. But yeah, lately this number is shrinking a bit. We are down from 7% last week to 6% this week. And yeah, here just, I mean, still 50% of all trading volume is Bitcoin. Then other layer 2s make up the other bulk of trading volume. And now RWAs are another strong contender going forward. And I mean, if we don't see 10 or more % towards the end of this quarter, then this might have been I mean, the product rollout is not ideal, but I think there is a lot of growth left in the RWA sector. And here, open interests are climbing higher after the massive drop-off on October 10th. We're up 4.1% week over week and over 20% month over month, but still down 26% from October 10th. And here again, Hyperliquid is by far the most used perps exchange with a market share of 44% when it comes to open interest. PumpFun is going crazy lately. Look at this massive weekly candle here. Last week, DEX volume over 10 billion. And yeah, finally, they broke the 10 million revenue threshold again. I mean, volume is up almost 100% week over week, and it's just going up only, it seems. And also, TVL is rising, so PumpFun definitely looks best out of the majors here. And yeah, especially the Pump swap is taking off. Those are all the coins that have been generated in the past or have been launched via PumpFun, and now they are traded on the Pump native DEX. While here, PumpFun, that's their like launchpad or the bonding curve. In the past, like 100% of their revenue derived from PumpFun, but now that they launched the Pump swap again, they're no longer leaking all this revenue to other exchanges and can capture it for themselves. But what this chart really tells us is that existing memes like Fartcoin, Pippin, and how they are all called are now generating lots of secondary revenue, while new coins have a harder time. I mean, there are still some token graduating, but not as many as before. But now the older coins are making up most of the trading volume. And yeah, if you see here, the top traded coins on Solana over the past 24 hours, yeah, of course, Trump #1, then we have JLP, the Jupiter token, then we have Bitcoin, but everything else except Zcash are PumpFun launched coins, Fartcoin, Pump itself, White Whale, Pippin, Testicle, Whale Guru, and so forth. So yeah, PumpFun is not looking bad, in my opinion, as of now. Here we have the revenues. Also, revenues are up 25% week over week. And here we see the breakdown from where all this revenue is coming from. We have the terminal, which is Padre that they acquired a few weeks or months ago. We have the AMM fee, which are all the secondary swaps that are routed through their AMM. And then we have the bonding curve. Still, the bonding curves makes up the majority of the revenue. But yeah, what is interesting here, the terminal Padre that they acquired just for a few millions is now already generating 700K in weekly revenue, which is pretty strong. And yeah, here total active traders. Last week we saw a spike. So yeah, degeneracy seems to be back, or yeah, degens are coming back on chain, which of course benefits PumpFun. And here it's only the terminal, which is the 𝗬𝗪𝗁, like the terminal they acquired. And look at it, of course, initially there was a super hyped week, but this is pretty constant and solid growth. So shout out, yeah, to the PumpFun team. I guess they made a smart decision acquiring 𝗬𝗪𝗁, and yeah, now owning their own trading terminal. Here, a few more charts. Weekly graduation is also up 34%, so more tokens are graduating every single week. 1,300 tokens graduated last week alone. And here, if we zoom in the daily chart, you can clearly see this upwards pattern. Then here, percentage of launchpad tokens on PumpFun, here pretty stable between 60 and 80%. Here we saw this like short dump as Bonk had a few days of higher trading activity, but yeah, Pump is not replaceable. I think they just made it there, and they now have this big brand, and especially for meme coins that start with the Pump token address, that's a trait that most meme coins are looking for. And here another interesting chart. We see that more tokens are being launched every week or created on PumpFun, but it's harder and harder for them to graduate. So yeah, less than 1% of all the tokens that launch on Pump eventually graduate. Cool. And finally, MetaDAO, our last big holding. Here we saw a downtrend, especially during December, as there were very little new ICOs or ownership coin launches on MetaDAO. And finally, last week, Ranger launched, and immediately we saw here a 150% increase in weekly revenue. And yeah, here a more detailed chart. We see here the moment that Ranger ICO went live. Of course, a new ownership coin went live. Traders out there were waiting for it, and it immediately almost doubled the daily future key AMM volume. And as we know, MetaDAO takes 0.5% taker fee on all revenues. And another interesting thing that I wanted to highlight here, you see here the violet bar, which is for Meta, because they just passed a proposal, and now, or previously, all the Meta liquidity for the MetaDAO token itself resided on Meteora, and now they brought it back to their future key AMM, their own in-house AMM, and now everybody that trades in and out of Meta, Meta itself generates protocol revenue too, and the bulk of the trading activity comes from 𝗬𝗪𝗂, the #1 ownership coin out there. And the rule of thumb, the more ownership coins there are, the more protocol revenue MetaDAO will generate. Cool. And now to our trading tips. I highlighted it several times in our Discord, and I told you guys that I bought 𝗬𝗪𝗂. I guess I bought it first after this 65% correction around $3.60 was my first entry, and then I just kept buying it within this accumulation range. And I guess now my average entry price is around $3.10. And now finally we broke out of this accumulation range, and I'm up more than 50%. So I really hope that you guys were able to scoop up some 𝗬𝗪𝗂 too during this consolidation period. And 𝗬𝗪𝗂, they are the #1 ownership coin. They have a live product. They have a very, very talented founder and a lot of supporters that bought early into their coin. And I think something similar will happen to Solomon. Their ICO price was exactly at 80 cents, and that's where the coin is trading. As of now, 80 cents always served as the lower bound, and usually it never broke below that. It's of course no guarantee. We could definitely go 10-20% lower, but at some point, it makes no more sense since they're still holding over 7 million in their treasury, and that's at a point, token holder can redeem the treasury, but I don't think that's very likely. What I think is more likely, the moment that Yes comes live, or goes live, they just announced a partnership with 𝗬𝗪𝗂. They will integrate their Yes, which stands for Yield as a Service, and then I think their USDV stablecoin, the TVL will just go or start to grow exponentially, and then we might have here another outbreak similar to 𝗬𝗪𝗂, a consolidation. But if you want to hear my thesis on Solo and why I'm bullish and why I bought some more around those levels, please check out my latest YouTube video. or yeah, just ask me in the OCT Plus Discord if you have more specific questions. And yeah, that's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, please feel free to tag me on Discord, and then we can discuss any topics further there. All right, that's it, guys. See you around in our Discord.